So, when we're talking about bullying, what does that actually mean from a clinical and research perspective, and who are the children involved?
Right, absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, I think you did a great job of breaking down the bullying, that there's a difference in power dynamic. So that's usually, there's an inequality in power. It is generally continual, harassment, and it's unwanted. And it is unwanted. Like that basically bottom line, if someone doesn't want it, anything that happens that is bullying. And so in terms of bullying, they do break it down additionally into sort of five categories we look at according to the research here then that we read in our article by Armitage. And the types of bullying are, of course, the ones I think we're most familiar with. You have your traditional sense of bullying, which is direct physical bullying. There's also direct verbal bullying. It doesn't need to necessarily be physical. It's a lot of verbal bullying, teasing, being called names, being told you don't belong, that you look funny. So that's your kind of traditional direct verbal bullying. Then you have traditional bullying that's both indirect and emotional. And that kind of involves sort of breaking down any relationships that you may have, friendships you may have, any support group, and kind of damaging social status and peer relationships, which we all know at young ages, especially, as we get a little bit older, adolescents, teens are vitally important and a huge part of children's lives. So, that's a super detrimental form of bullying. Then, of course, we have sexual bullying, which we also know as sexual harassment. And then there is cyberbullying, which is sort of our newest tool, as you mentioned, in the world of bullying, which again is aggressive behavior or even emotional manipulation, but through digital platforms, specifically mobile phones, the social media, internet. And, to me, I mean, I know we also will talk about it, but I think cyberbullying it's another tool, and it's a tool that allows it to be anonymous, which I think, when we talk about later can bring in a component of it that makes it seem sort of even more evil in a sense, because then it's harder to know where it's coming from. It's easier for those who are doing the bullying to not have consequences, to not be found out, and to continue doing it. So those are the sort of the five categories of bullying. And they, frequently occur in multiple settings actually simultaneously. So it can be at school and it can also be at the home. And again, I know we'll get into that also as well as where bullying starts. But generally, oftentimes the bullying is not just in one location. Can be in more types of places as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you listed those ways. And to go even further on it, I think some of them are also maybe seen at different stages of development. I believe in the study it talked about how some of the traditional types of bullying are often seen. Those are the ones that we're seeing in younger childhood. And the sexual bullying and cyberbullying are more what we see in a little bit older children as well. And not that any of these couldn't happen at any age, but that just seems to be kind of maybe a little bit more of the trend.
Right. In terms of frequency and prevalence. Absolutely.
So then let's talk about why bullying happens. In the first place, what makes a child more vulnerable and where it begins. So, how common is bullying really? Is it a rare crisis or is it something that most children experience?
According to the article that we read, it is indeed a global health crisis. While there is great variation on location, dependent on location and region, and all kinds of different factors that influence, overall, it is recognized that it is a global health issue. I believe it was 1 in 3 children. I'm so sorry. Yes, I think it was 1 in 3. Am I remembering those numbers correctly? 1 in 3 children experiencing one or more type bullying incident in the month before. And then it's 1 in 13 children who have experienced 6 or more types of bullying or bullying incidents in the month before. It is significant. It is significant. That does impact. And we're talking, when we talk globally all over the world, that children are, again, to varying degrees, but that fact that it is happening all over the world is very much what makes it a global health issue, that we are seeing these consequences. And I think that also as these studies come about, we'll continue to see things and we'll continue to see results, because sometimes it can take years before we fully can understand sort of impacts and exactly how far and wide this goes.
Thank you for listening to the Willow Kids podcast.